destroy her. They ambushed me, forced me into a corner, and stripped me of my humanity, giving themselves artistic freedom to paint me as they wished. Dark as the depths, dirty as the dregs, deplorable, despicable. I was condemned with such intensity by people who knew me, I started to question, were my words caked in cyanide? When I was brave enough to revisit them, I was confused. They were soft, understanding, logical, and caring. I'm sure they were. So, knees trembling and voice shaking, I stood my ground, and one angry male ally led them all to wage war on me. It happened so quickly. This fake, deranged digital version of me was placed naked in the centre of a global coliseum filled with echoing toxicity. It kind of felt like I'd already died, looking down, watching it play out, but at the same time it was very real. I felt every single bit of it, and it was excruciating. It was terrifying. They bled my essence dry, 1,000 paper cuts to my soul, slices on top of deeper wounds that I had learnt to live with, and reopening them was agonizing. I bore no armour because I did not come dressed for war, and nor will I ever. I turned the other cheek, and in doing so, my softness was conveniently misinterpreted as cowardice, naivety, and stubbornness. It was judgment without trial. The mob responded, loud and clear, thumbs down, arms and voices trembling with fury and disgust. I see friends joining in. Some comply more reluctantly, some sit in silence, watching along, and some pretend they don't know me. I don't know which is worse, but I know what hurt the most. A few brave souls did speak up, but they were quickly attacked, silenced, and erased. I was fed to the lions, outcast, shamed, and left for dead, all just for softly expressing an informed opinion. What the hell had just happened? The arena dust settled, and my unique, hopeful, and colourful soul was lying there, ripped apart, pieces of me dangling by a thread like bloodied limbs, just as they had wanted. But the thread is a thread of truth, which can never be severed, even in death. The truth is an indestructible lifeline to love, sanity, healing, and for me to God. The very thing that has put me in this position is the one thing worth living for. Being honest about what I feel is true and kind. That is the one thing they will never take from me. What followed is hard to describe. The paranoia is intense and constant, and it's impossible to separate online from on street. Where I once skipped, I now creep, genuinely scared for my life, ashamed, embarrassed, and self-loathing. Someone else describes it spot on that when you walk into a room, you assume everyone thinks you stink of shit. My life force, my love, my laughter, distinguished, trampled, and silenced once again. So the collective digital portrait is now pretty much complete. Articles written, comment threads bursting, associations severed. And the mob is disgusted, but not surprised at the horrors it reveals. The different versions of me are all equally unrecognisable. Ludicrous, even psychotic, like it's actually laughable. No wonder she's hated. It's momentarily relieving to laugh, but the reality is I am a shell of my former self. A shell so thin I could disintegrate at any moment. And I stay this way in hiding for years. An act interpreted as acceptance of guilt, but they've got that very wrong. It was actually a deep acceptance of shame. The attack continues, resurfaces, ebbs and flows, and over I am told that my words are harmful. The mob knows no boundaries, recruiting and turning anyone they can against you. Look, it's her fault. She's to blame for all your pain. They don't want to stop until they've destroyed me. Until they have seen me burn at the stake like a martyr, a suitable ending for the wretched witch that I am. The damage has diffused into every element of my life. I felt completely undateable, genuinely struggling to fathom how anyone could ever want or love me again. I was crippled by shame and my reality warped by the intense hate. The mob are certain the world would be a better place if I did not exist. Blind to the fact that I, she, this thing is fully their creation, like their fantasy reality. To make sure I was hateable, they had to render me unrecognizable, beating me to a pulp like a parent blinded by rage at their innocent child. They most definitely do not know me, nor do they want to know me. Really knowing me would be very confronting and confusing. It's best I just be an evil, brainwashed, idiotic, gullible, disgusting bigot, case closed, who's next? I'm just one of the many scapegoats they have sculpted. They do it over and over, and they are handed the tools and the platforms on which to perform it so publicly. Not only unchallenged, but often supported and exalted. Oh, what heroes they are for outing such rotten, evil soul. When in reality, the majority of us can see all they have outed is the anger and pain in their own hearts. Pain created by the rejection and muddying of their own beautiful souls. The exact thing that I'm gently speaking up about. I used to represent a safe, nourishing and hopeful space, and I betrayed them. It's much easier to hate, attack and control others than to be brave and humble enough to look inside and confront our own pain. I know this too well, but my God, what a mess it makes. Being so misunderstood and attacked is agonizing, but I, and I alone, am fully responsible for my choice to hide, to shrink and to wilt. I am the only person responsible for dealing with my pain, and I wasn't dealing with it. I was working, and I was merely existing. One day, my friend gently asked me, "Ans, have you cried about the way you were treated?" I hadn't. It was kind of news to me that I could even cry about it. I thought it was just part and parcel of speaking up, and that I should take it on the chin. I then realised it is impossible to grieve something that you think you deserve. Especially so when thousands, if not millions of others are telling you that you deserve it. Little me had already learnt that from day dot, just being me, I was hurting others. Growing up with a deaf brother, my able body represented so many complex feelings to everyone, and I got the brunt of them all. How dare I be upset? How dare I speak up about the many injustices I experienced? Can't I see how lucky I am? What a selfish, bratty, bad-tempered, arrogant, demanding little bism. At that age, I knew no God. My parents were my God, and in many ways they betrayed me just as their parents have betrayed them. Shame and fear are the easiest ways to control a child, and so shame and fear become the easiest ways to control an adult. These cancel tactics are used for a reason. Maybe, just maybe, despite being a cisgendered, thin, pretty, straight, hearing, educated white woman, I did not deserve any of this. Maybe none of us have ever deserved any of the attack and abuse we've received. Maybe it is really unkind to make so many wild assumptions about me, my beliefs, my character, to lie about me, viciously attack me, threaten me, shame me, prey on me, silence me, steal from me, violate me, batter me, torment me, abuse me, and break me. Where do I start with so many broken pieces and little to no understanding of or belief in the original masterpiece I'm already fumbling to rediscover? And all I can hear is, I'm so bad that people need to be protected from me. Now, any time the attack comes up in conversation, my suppressed feelings rush to the surface, desperately trying to get out. I can't speak, I can't breathe, the hurt is very much there, and I haven't dealt with any of it. The truth is, I'm on the precipice of an all-consuming grief, but there's a solid wall of shame to get through first, and it's deep-rooted in generations upon generations of pain, buried in every cell of my being. A curious, intelligent, open-hearted, soft, intuitive, outspoken, opinionated, emotional, and idealistic woman. What a joke. What a threat. I was already such a harsh judge to my own existence. I really didn't need any help with that. I've been avoiding these feelings so much and disconnected and out of my body that I barely remember the past 2.5 years. I also barely remember my childhood, and it's been so bad that I genuinely wondered if I had early onset dementia. This is what avoiding our fear and pain does. It shuts down every part of you bit by bit. As I write this, my eyes are dry and I feel numb, yet show me harm to anyone or anything, and I am deeply affected. Show me hope and beauty, and I will cry with joy. But these fleeting moments of living are done mostly in the privacy and safety, or more accurately, the self-constructed prison of my own four walls. And it's usually through a screen. It's safer that way. This is no way to live. Being outcast is soul-shaking. Since age 4, I have put in some serious graft, proving to my parents and the world that I was not stupid, selfish, and sinister. And it seemed that all that hard work unraveled in front of my eyes in a matter of hours. But despite the many dark nights of the soul, I've had a light shone on wounds that were desperately limiting and controlling me. I can now see glimmerings of freedom and joy of being me that I couldn't have before imagined. My chains are loosening as I come out of a 37-year stupor. I'm allowed to have feelings and opinions, and just because people tell me that they are wrong, disgusting, selfish, stupid, or shameful does not make them so. Aren't we all just hurt little kids trying to avoid our own worst nightmares, desperately fighting for acceptance and love in the ways in which it was forsaken? Only I can work out who the real me is, and only you the real you. But one thing I know for sure is that everyone's childhood trauma is more real, deep, specific, vast and complex than we can ever first fathom. And without help from others and the events we attract in our lives, it's impossible to see the injustices and pains that we are stewing in. I can see so clearly now that there is nothing more damaging than making someone feel that aspects of their real self are inherently wrong. I know this only too well. Femininity was a dirty, dirty thing in my house, and I grew up completely conditioned around this belief. We all experience gender, and we have all been raised in homes, towns, and countries where masculinity and femininity are seriously messed up. But just because we've been taught wrong doesn't mean we then get to choose the truth. I believe so passionately in free will and investigation. I fully respect anyone's right to try a different path, but I will not help you walk down it if I think it's damaging. And I can still be your friend regardless. This is not bigotry, this is integrity. I do not have to agree with you, and you do not have to agree with me. But charging at your so-called opposition, desperately trying to achieve acceptance and inclusivity while using exclusivity as a battering ram, there is just no logic to it. There is no love, and there is no space for learning. Despite all that's happened, I wouldn't change it, because I've learned so much about myself, about love, and about God. Love definitely has exponential power over evil. Those who loved enough to speak up and risk being attacked themselves will likely never know the salvation they provided. I cannot put into words the potency of these seemingly small actions. I used to question, does love speak up or does love keep the peace? Love most definitely always speaks up, softly, directly, clearly, and without judgment. I was attacked for being my curious, investigative, gentle, and courageous self. And being attacked for being the real me is the biggest pain I think I'll ever have to experience. Maybe this is the same for a lot of us. I know I'm going to need as much help as I can get to go through it. So God, hear my prayer as I dare to express myself in the world again. Let me get excited to investigate, experiment, and share what I find to be true in the way the world works and how it's been designed. Reopening my heart and soul after being so badly beaten feels like true terror. It feels suicidal, as well as selfish, narcissistic, grandiose. So maybe I should get back in my place. What am I doing? What am I doing? Please, God, if it is true that I did not deserve any of this, I pray that your love will cradle me as my remaining thin shell finally crumbles, so I can grieve this to its depth, all of it, until it's completely gone, and I can emerge with fresh, colourful wings, itching to soar, smile, skip, sing, play, explore, and one day fall in love.